I'll start. Patrick Maroney with the Liquor Enforcement Division, and I'll go to my right.
Linda Atkins with the Attorney General's Office.
Dinah Amick with the Liquor Enforcement Division.
John Tipton, Colorado Beer Distributors, and the Tipton Law Firm.
Andrew Lindley, New Belgium Brewing Company.
Mickey Petrolini, Colorado Bar Owners Association.
Cheryl Aragon, Green City Clerk's Office, and I'm also representing the Colorado Municipal Clerks Association.
Okay.
Doug Caskey with the Colorado Wine Industry Development Board.
Gene McAvoy, Colorado Licensed Beverage Association, representing liquor off premises statewide.
David Wrights, representing Tavern League, Colorado on-premise licensees.
Pete Mearsman, at-large member.
Sonia Riggs, Colorado Restaurant Association.
Okay, that's everyone now in attendance from the working group. Let's go ahead and the people in the back here in the public, please introduce yourself. Starting with Nick.
Nick Hoover, Colorado Restaurant Association.
Ben Robbins, Declaration Brewing Company.
Michelle Ladd, City of Boulder licensee.
Mark Bashoff, Walt Whisker Treats, who make all-infused ice cream.
Brian Benesawi.
Lenora Moore, Liquor Inspector, City of Lakewood.
Jack Chisholm, Divisional Liquor.
Michelle Stone, Putzapano, Division Liquor.
Well, Mike, welcome everyone. Just go over a couple of the rules that we're gonna work this, and I don't think we have anybody on the phone yet, but if they do, we'll recognize them as they chime in if we do have anybody. There's several rules we want to talk about today. The working group will have the ability to talk, and we can make changes. They don't have to be necessarily consensus at this point, but we'll see where we're going. At the end of our discussion time, we'll take a break. If we don't get through them all, we'll then continue on after the break with more rules. At the end of our discussion with the working group, it's then open to the floor. The public can make comment and provide input. We ask you to limit your testimony, your input to 2 to 3 minutes, more if need be. And at the end, I'm totally expecting that we will have a next meeting on October 28th, given the volume of rules we have, and maybe some further discussion needs to be taking place for these rules. And I'm not against having meetings in between now and then on a smaller scale, subgroups if we have to. I know it's a little bit of an aggressive timeline, but we need to get these rules posted on October 31st to the Secretary of State's website.
Patrick,
Yes?
has the deadline passed for new proposed changes?
On the website, we asked everybody to get their proposed changes via the form we provided by the 9th
Of October?
of October.
Okay.
If there are other changes, given the volume here, I'm not sure. I think it depends on what the changes are. If they're minor in nature, I don't think it might be a problem, but it's a whole new concept, and I think it's probably gonna be, maybe too late, but
Well,
I have.
I don't have a change, I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
At what point do we say, okay, this is what's going forward?
On the 28th is where we make some recommendations.
October 28th.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do, on the second half here, the discussion and review of proposed regulations that we received, I have about 6 of them I wanna talk about, in addition to what we have listed.
Mhm.
So, pretty packed. I'm open to new ideas, but really, unless it's something we've talked about, have some discussion about, I don't think we're gonna be able to get it in this year.
Okay, and the ones we are discussing, you've proposed, the changes you're proposing are capitalized and so on in this document.
Correct, yeah, it's just, the changes are done by, a cap is
Yeah,
new,
yeah, I'm-
strikeouts all, of course,
Yep.
taken away.
Yep, I got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions about how we're gonna go forward today?
Brad, you don't make the changes, you don't say yea or nay, or how's that go?
The process is we'll post the division's proposed rules on our website and with the Secretary of State's later this month. We'll then have a formal hearing with the hearings officer on December 2nd. And that's when the division proposes the formal rules of what we want to adopt. At that point, the division, or the hearing officer will take testimony from the division and from the public if need be, and then they'll render a recommendation a week later or within a week, and then that recommendation will go to the state licensing authority, who's our executive director, who will review it in December. and approve whatever she wants to approve in mid-December, and it'll become effective in January.
How do you notify them? You just gotta keep on top of the website or?
I'll have the website if you want to, give me a card afterwards, and we'll put you on our email distribution list so you can get updates. But everything will be posted on our website, including minutes and also the recordings of these meetings as well. Okay. Any other questions? For those of you who want Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi username and password's up on the board over there, if you need to use Wi-Fi. Okay. There is one minor change in the agenda I want to bring your attention to. Under the review of regulations, under 47-322, I added one, and it's in actually the packet reflects this, the agenda doesn't. It's 323, lawful extension of credit. I'm not making changes to the unlawful extension of credit. It's one of those things that happened with the distillery pub bill, so it's not a change in the content, it's just adding that under a certain subsection. So I wanted to make that record clear that that was added to the agenda. Okay. So we're gonna start out with definitions, and what I'm gonna do is each one of these rules that we're requesting to modify, add, or change, it tells you at the end why they came about. The first one, under 47-100, under definitions, the modifications came about as a suggestion from the adopted formally yesterday by the Liquor Industry Working Group. And these changes under B, under manufacturer, the division one added distillery pub as what is a definition of a manufacturer. Under F, a supplier also included to be in the distillery pub. Those two are division request additions to reflect the distillery pub bill that was passed this year by the legislature. But H is what was added by the Liquor Industry Working Group. Powdered alcohol is defined in section 1247-103, subparagraph 36, CRS, as a spirituous liquor. Therefore, powdered alcohol, whether or not it is reconstituted, is considered an alcohol beverage and is subject to all the laws and rules pertaining to liquid spirituous alcohol beverages. So that was a recommendation by the working group. Is any discussion on any one of these three changes? Yes, Jean?
Is the word, but do we have a definition of liquid spirits? I mean, the liquid seems to be, lead this down the path, we're not regulating liquid spirits alcohol, we're regulating spirits liquors. Do we need the word liquid in there? Because it's gonna be sold, if it comes to Colorado, it's gonna be sold in the powder form,
Correct.
supposedly.
Correct.
As
No,
powdered alcohol,
would have to.
so Is liquid an absolute important word there? I think so. Because it sets it apart from spirituous liquors, spirituous liquors, if you call it liquid.
Well, this is the only non-liquid spirituous liquor that I'm aware of. Right? So I guess the intent here is to say that all the laws that are pertaining to the liquid spirituous liquor obtain to this powder as well.
But it's not sold as a liquid, it's sold as a powder.
Right, this is what it's being compared to.
But we don't have a definition of
Does
liquid spirit.
TTV have it as a spirituous liquor, and that's,
We could, to strike just saying,
I'd say
in this,
strike
subject
liquid,
to all the laws and rules pertaining to spirituous alcohol beverages.
Right.
or say other spirituous.
I would just strike it.
I would
I
strike
just
it
take
too.
liquid out of there.
Pertaining to, okay, I'm okay with that. We'll make that change. I'll make sure I'm gonna hand around the, or sign up list to make sure everybody here is signed up. I have a couple latecomers, so I'll make sure you get signed up. Any questions or comments about 47-100? Okay. 47-302, this is a request by the division, and it's just pretty much cleanup. 47-302 is the rule of changing, altering, or modifying licensed premises. When you look at the About 3 years ago, the rule said that a manufacturer did not have to submit a modification of premises form, that it was exempt from the modification requirement. A year after that, they changed it to include, since we had sales rooms by manufacturers, to include if the manufacturer was expanding their sales room or adding a sales room, they would have to submit a modification. What I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure that limited wineries were involved in this as well, because a manufacturer under 402 does not include limited wineries. So it was sort of left out on mistake. So we included them as a manufacturer type that had to submit a modification request if need be. And we took out the word additional sales rooms, because there could be just a plain sales room if they wanted to add either the manufacturer or a limited winery or a manufactured distillery wanted to add a sales room and expand their modification of premises, they would need to submit a request. So I took the word additional out. Yes, Doug?
Just a question, because this also includes sales room locations, should it have a reference to beer wholesalers as well? Or is
They
that-
already have to. See, they weren't exempted from it.
Because this just applies to the manufacturer.
Yeah, it just applies to manufacturers. And when we wrote it up to, a couple years ago, we had made it exclusive just to those manufacturers under 402 and not 403.
And with B above, it will now include distillery pubs.
No.
47-100 includes.
That's what I'm saying.
No, okay, all right. With, at certain spots, distillery
Okay,
pub.
so it's not in, okay, so distillery pubs aren't in 47-402.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Because under different parts of the trade prat, or the whole 47 rule series, a distillery pub in one section may be a retailer, another
Sure.
section may be a
Okay.
wholesale, another section may be a manufacturer. Okay, any other questions about 47-302? 47-303 was a request from the division to modify this rule, or actually add section F to reflect changes in the law this year of the reissue license. This is a situation where a license, previously, if it was expired more than 90 days, had to start all over again, have a brand new application. The legislature this year, changed it to make it 180 days under a reissue license. So I modified the language in the rule to reflect the changes that were made in the law.
In both, right? F and G.
Yeah, what happened was,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, both of them. Any questions or comments about that in the group? Okay. Transfer of ownership and changes in licensed entities, 47-304. This was a division request modification, and it just, it makes the rule reflect exactly as the law reads. The rule, the way it was written before, I think, was a little misleading in what the definition of operation of law. The way the rule was written before, operation of law was a larger category that included bankruptcy, receivership, foreclosure, eviction, etc., and that's not the way the law reads. Operation of law is a standalone reason itself that you can transfer possession of property. So it was just more of a word changing, take a paragraph away and make it reflect what the law says. We've talked about this before. Are there any questions about how this is gonna be applied?
Explain that one more time, because operation of law can also be by descent and distribution, or by divorce, or a lot of things.
Well, the term operation of law, and I'm talking to a lawyer here, so it's a legal term. It's an actual legal term all by itself.
That's why.
Right, but if you look at the way the rule was written, if you take out the changes, it said by operation of law, and then it put all of these things that what categorized an operation of law, which was bankruptcy, receivership, foreclosure. Those are not operation of laws. Those are a separate reason why transfer of possession could occur. Transfer of, operation of law is one reason that you can do transfer. Bankruptcy is another one, receivership's another one, foreclosure, eviction, etc. It was more of a grammar change? Typo?
I guess I would have just written it so that it makes it clear it's something different by saying operation of law, comma, by petition in bankruptcy, rather than a petition in bankruptcy.
Well, operation law is by itself. That's like reason number one.
I understand.
Bankruptcy has nothing to do with the operation of
Just a
law.
grammatical.
Right.
I understand.
So how would it read differently?
I would just make it a little more clear, but I think it's fine. I would just leave it like it is.
Okay.
I thought you were trying to define by operation.
No, we felt like
Yeah,
that's
the
what it
rule,
was
the
doing
rule
before.
was thinking they were defining operational law, in essence, they were making confusion.
I agree. I'm not sure, it's still not confused. but-
Well, help me
It's
out.
confused. I would have just, after the comma, instead of a petition, I would put by petition in bankruptcy, by, so that it shows each one as a transfer, but it doesn't matter.
Okay, I understand.
It's not a big
Yeah,
deal.
it's grammatical, yeah.
Yeah.
Petition in bankruptcy is how cases come in.
Yes.
Is it a frequent tool?
No, but it's one of those that was, misunderstood. That I think people didn't understand how that could occur, and they were using the term operation of law as any kind of legal method to transfer an ownership, and that wasn't true.
Can I ask a different question?
Yeah.
When somebody files for bankruptcy or the court appoints a receiver, oftentimes it doesn't change who the licensee is. It changes how the licensee is managed.
Correct.
So you aren't assuming then that the licensee, there's been a change in possession when there is a bankruptcy?
No, it's when the possession does occur because of bankruptcy, yeah.
Okay.
In that case, we just possibly, if there's a manager requirement, we change managers or something. Any questions of 47-304? Yes.
I don't see 47-416 on here that, goes along with our case on any of these documents here.
That's under the discussion of reviews, proposed regulations to look enforcement by other people.
Okay,
That's after the break.
okay.
Okay, 47-316, advertising practices. Media advertising, after I wrote this, I also received a request from Doug Caskey and his group as far as the definition of social media. And I think my attempt here is to help under, not broaden necessarily, but better define, in this case especially, what similar media was or was not. I'm not sure if this does a good enough job. I want to throw it out there that the question during the CABS conference, and was also provided or given to us before, was is Facebook synonymous to a website under this rule? Is Twitter, is all of the other things that, social media that we use, would those be equivalent under the advertising practices, and especially under media advertising rule? So my intent here was to make sure it's clear that I agree they do. So if a supplier or even a retailer has a Facebook page, it's their Facebook page, they maintain it, that is equivalent to a website or a blog. Doug, the one you proposed, we can go a little bit later, was a lot more broader reaching than that. But the intent here is to help just be communicative and let people know what, instead of trying to have to, a new application comes by and every day, this new thing, the newest thing comes out, and we're trying to we're trying to have to modify the rule all the time to include all those, and,
I think that's good, and I also refer loosely to the TTP's definition where, well, and Wikipedia, where social media is generally defined as something delivered by the internet, so I think that's a good way of covering it. And as long as, this makes clear that you can't pay for.
right, that suppliers cannot pay for advertising on social media that's for a retailer.
Right.
Unless it's their own. If it's their own, the way it is now, a supplier can put on their own website or their own Facebook, on-site sales promotion events, where their item is able to be sold at, it's like, because they're paying for it, and it's their own media, you know, versus, purchasing advertisement on a Facebook ad or, internet, you know, pop up the news, 9 News or whatever, and these ads pop up everywhere. That would be prohibited for a supplier to pay for that advertising for a retailer. Joan?
Yeah, and I apologize, I had a conflict, so that's not right. But, just so you know, I didn't have quite enough turnaround to get get input from our
Mhm.
attorneys and everybody,
Right.
everything has to go way above us, way above me. So, I'm gonna listen mostly today,
Yeah.
but just so you know, we don't
No,
have
it's-
any positions on these things, cause I don't have any direction.
Yeah, I totally understand
And
that.
trade practices are always a big issue for us.
Right.
And so I
I-
don't want
I-
my friends, like
I totally understand.
Okay.
And I start off the meeting with, our next formal meeting will be in 2 weeks, on the 28th. And that's where I expect to get most of input.
Okay, good.
I'm hoping to get input in between then, so that come the 28th, at least I know really what I wanna put down here and request.
What time on the 28th, Patrick?
1. Not 2. 1. 2 is a logistical change, so I mean, we're trying to do it at 1 because it's giving ourselves enough time, so. So I totally understand what you're saying.
But I just wanted you to know.
Joni, yeah, no, I totally understand that. These didn't go out until Monday, so, I understand the need to do that. Pete?
So, can a supplier provide content to a retailer for the retailer's webpage?
No.
Can't, like a logo or I mean,
That's,
they're not, it's not,
I see what Pete's getting.
If they're not
no, I think they can provide their own content, just like they can a sign. Like, a supplier can provide a retailer a sign of their company, X Brewery.
right.
They can do that. As far as, I think logos, I'll take a look at that. I don't believe that's a problem, but what would come in a problem is if they provided other content other than their own logo that was for the retailer only, then the answer would be no. They couldn't provide artistic work and something like that for a specific retailer to put on their web, because the retailer needs to pay for that.
I understand, but I think we're splitting hairs here a little bit, only because, let's say there's some kind of promotion that a restaurant can decide to participate in or not. And that's normally the case, right? And some of the content for the promotion is provided by a supplier, by a wholesaler, or by a manufacturer. And then there's no cost, it's whatever they're gonna supply to the retailer has already been developed. It's just a matter of whether the retailer wants to post it on their website or not.
Yeah.
And it could be more than a logo is what I'm getting at. So I'm just trying to, where, is there a line or is there not a line, and I don't think the line should be that a supplier, or wholesaler, or manufacturer even couldn't provide anything, because you're gonna need, the restaurants, in our case, are gonna need let's say it's a Pabst Blue Ribbon promotion or something, I don't know, they're gonna need the logo. And pieces of whatever promotion they might wanna do, might come from either the beer distributor, or from the manufacturer. Maybe I'm splitting hairs here, but
No,
I can see where people could get in trouble inadvertently is really what I'm trying to avoid.
There is an exception for on-site sales promotion. Okay, take a look at the rule book there. Under 322, there's an exception for a manufacturer may advertise an on-site sales promotion, and they may mention the retailer, and they may.
But is on-site online?
That's an actual.
On-site is online?
Like say, the specific retailer's having a promotion, it has to be an actual event.
Yeah.
Okay, they're having a fast
Yeah.
PBR event, okay?
Whatever, yeah.
All right, the retailer's doing that. The manufacturer, supplier can pay for media about that event because it's really for the PBR is
Okay.
doing this.
Okay.
And they can also mention the hotel, the hotel, restaurant, the bar, the tavern, whatever, they can do that. Sort of an exception to it. What we're talking about is going out and, paying for advertising that the retailer should be paying for.
I
You see what I'm
understand,
saying?
I understand
That's
that,
what I'm saying.
but if, I understand that. If you're buying media.
It says-
On the other hand, if you're using your restaurant website to promote something and you get something from the wholesaler, is that,
If it's not a site, if it's not a promotion, if it's not a on-site sales promotion, there's not that exemption. If you look at here, it says, suppliers may pay for, or I'm sorry, suppliers may pay or provide or pay for any media announcement of an on-site promotions, on-site product sales promotion that primarily advertises the product, the location, and the date and time of the promotion. The name of the retailer outlet may also be mentioned.
and that's what's that regulation, what or other?
It is
47,
322
322B?
B.
Okay.
Right, so if it's not an on-site sales promotion, then suppliers cannot provide advertising for retailers.
So are you trying to prevent New Belgium from buying Facebook ads for Joe's Liquor Store?
Yes, exactly.
This would be different than, a restaurant's website. This would be the paid digital pop-up ads that are prohibited.
Okay.
If it's not an
if it
on-site
is-
promotion.
Right, if it's not an on-site promotion, the supplier can't pay for, just like we can't pay for an ad in the newspaper, we can't
I
pay for a
understand that.
pop-up ad on Facebook.
I understand.
Whereas.
But could New Belgium provide my restaurant with, something that I could just get from them and post on my website?
If it's like their logo, yeah, no problem.
Well, but what if it's but like their logo and it has to do with a particular promotion?
A promotion, I'm okay with. An on-site sales promotion, not just like the restaurants run. The on-site sales promotion is when the supplier is usually involved,
Right.
and they're gonna be there to do a promotion on-site.
But we couldn't have like New Belgium Week and have them provide copy and,
They can provide New Belgium signs and stuff like that, because like signs and displays are fine, but not advertising.
I'm just trying to
Yeah.
figure out where it begins and ends, that's all.
Is there a specific, am I missing something, I'm sorry, provision that talks about the logo in here?
No,
I
but,
don't
and
see
there's
any
signs and
exclusion on
displays,
that.
under signs and displays.
What I'm hearing Patrick say is, if a supplier can provide it in a physical sign right now for a retailer, you could provide it for the internet.
Yes.
But if you can't provide it right now as a physical sign, you can't provide it on the website.
Correct.
Should it say that then? Cause these are things you can't, so I mean, is it clear that you can? Cause I don't usually think of a sign as something on the internet. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, no, I understand.
You bring up I think it's a good conversation with the social media thing is, maybe we need to make other changes to make it clear.
Well, and that's evolving every day, that's why I'm trying to get kind of a line here, because that, social media is changing.
Well, I think
Yeah.
in 316, to me, this seems, and maybe it's because Patrick and I had this conversation outside, but it seems clear in that, okay, you can't pay, just like you can't pay for paid things, the supplier can't pay for electronic
Right.
advertising.
I understand.
I mean, it would seem to me that a logo and copy for an event or anything is,
Part of the exemption.
that's just part of what suppliers
But
do.
who paid to create the design in that advertisement? That's what he was saying earlier, is that
Right.
if they're paying, if it's getting designed, someone's paying for it. Now that counts as unlawful financial assistance to the retailer.
But a logo is not That's not what's.
No,
At a
but,
logo,
Right, 'cause
but
like-
how
like-
far beyond that if it's a design for the promotion?
Right.
Dave?
I was just gonna say, I see it, the language and the application the way you do on that. I don't see it, but I think there is enough concern by people that perhaps on the 28th, this might be the type of thing where we move forward and just let people bring in alternative language on the 28th that might, fix that
Yeah.
if they think it's a concern based upon. where
Well, I
it's
think
at.
we have two issues here. One is a change that I'm asking, it just further defines. And then the question here, I think the bigger picture is under like signs and interiors under 320, we don't address how social media is used as far as that, it talks about on-site sales promotions, but I'm not against having some type of rule that discusses if you can provide a sign, you can provide it electronically for, you can, a sign also includes any kind of electronic media use of the same product, I'm okay to, that's a separate sort of, tangent to this.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I may have misunderstood, but when the discussion was, can you have a New Belgium week?
Yeah.
That's a promotion. And
Yeah.
certainly you could have that.
Yes, you can.
And they could write the copy for it, and they could give them the copy for it, because it's an on-site promotion. It falls under the other reg.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, if it's on-site sales promotion.
So, it seems to me,
That's-
whether you can do it, and you put up your big sign, come in Tuesday through Friday for New Belgium 3 days or whatever, you could also put it on, they could put it on their website, that you could get the copy for that.
What we're.
they could create that.
Yeah, they could create the copy, because they created the site.
Now,
You could
now,
put it
now,
on your
if you
website.
look at the definition of what on-site sales promotion is, okay, that's where this exemption occurs,
Mhm.
on the definition of on-site sales promotion. And if you look at that, which I need to myself. Just a small binder.
It's got page 19.
What?
Page 19.
He says page 19.
Are we looking at 322B?
Yeah.
I have a question. With some of your clients, and now we're talking about the internet, so do they, I would assume like Ford and some of those entities, there's co-marketing type things that are done. And when you're talking about the internet, let's just, I'm trying to think of one of your chain restaurants, we'll say Chili's, off my head. And let's say they have a co-marketing agreement, so part of it would be here, but when they do the ads, do you know what the laws are in other states as far as some of these things, so?
I have
you
no
don't-
idea, no.
So you don't preclude some of the things happening unintentionally? I'm just thinking out loud.
That's exactly what we're trying to prevent, is somebody inadvertently
Right,
doing
well,
something
that's
and
why,
then
that's why I'm
it's
asking,
illegal.
because the internet is such a
Yeah, and it
interesting
changes
animal.
every day.
And so I'm just trying to, and I'll ask from distance.
And I will tell you that from big restaurant chains to small restaurants, they
Yeah.
are trying to capture,
Right.
email addresses and cell phone numbers and so on, so they can
Right.
push their promotions out. So I just don't, I'm trying to prevent somebody from just
Right.
doing something and all of a sudden they're in violation and they didn't know.
Patrick, just reading this quickly, I don't think.
Well, I don't wanna get
I
nut.
don't think B prohibits them getting the text and so forth to put into.
I don't disagree with you, John, but I'm
Yeah,
not
and I
sure,
agree
I'm not
with
sure if
Dave.
this is the place we wanna.
No, I think, I
have
agree
that-
with Dave.
Have that
Let's
discussion.
Go on and then
You know,
we'll see if
'cause,
we need to clean it up.
we can,
will or
yeah.
otherwise.
So if, so. So under my proposal under 316, advertising practices, media advertising. Please get me, to the form 2477, it's on our website, any kind of changes or suggestions you have of how it would fit in there.
Okay.
Alright. Okay?
When do you want this? When, by when?
Well, when we talk about the 28th, if we can have it by the 26th, that Monday, I think it's Monday. Yeah, I'm actually, I'm not against having meetings next week. If we want to have a subgroup to talk about this, I'm open to that. Oh, come on.
Friday afternoon?
Friday afternoon,
Yeah.
2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right, John?
The last nice Friday of the year.
Right.
Yeah.
With, yeah,
All right.
with some fat tires.
Okay, maybe we'll have more, you never know.
As
All
long
right.
as the meeting's around mile marker 123 on the Poudre River.
Was that where you're at? Okay, Andrew, we know.
Well, that's where I'll be next Friday.
Are you bringing the beer?
Sure.
Okay.
So where's mile marker 123? Is that like,
Right on
Cougar
the
Park?
river.
It's right up there on the river. Yeah. Big fat truck. Anyway.
All right, 47-320, signs and interior displays. Okay, here we go. This is my rendition of discussions we've had about display enhancers. And
Can I
looking,
jump in just for a second? And there is no consensus from the working.
and
group.
there's no, and that's why you don't see over here on 320, working group. This is a division request, okay? So the division is sponsoring this. This is not a working group consensus reached request. So, in essence, for the most part, what was happening before by letter from the former director with a couple added things is the same with limitations. We talked about this last time, maybe we could limit the letter to the rule to a retailer, and I think I'll make one quick modification. A retailer 4 times a year total can have a display enhancer for 30 days. So, 4 times a year. So it then allows the wholesaler to be able to display their item. It's a giveaway to the consumer. 30 days, there's a requirement for the wholesaler to have, to keep a record of the name, address, and phone number of the winner. A requirement for, it can only be there for 30 days. You have to have branding on it.
Patrick had one question on 5.
Yeah.
Paragraph 5. Shouldn't that be the wholesaler is responsible for removal, not the supplier?
Well, if you look under definition,
No, but we have wholesaler all the way through this except for that.
okay.
Well, that was my question that I was gonna
That's
bring up
a- again,
also.
that's good.
Should this be supplier instead of wholesaler?
No, it should be wholesaler.
Wholesaler, but they're the ones.
Maybe, may not, may or may not.
Oh.
I mean, could, well, a brewery would be a wholesaler, could a distillery or a winery?
They're a wholesaler.
They're a wholesaler.
They get
They're a
wholesaler
Okay, they
too.
are included in that.
Yeah, they're
Yes.
included.
But you may have Diageo that may be licensed as a wholesaler wanting to come in and,
Licenses up.
not licensed as a
Manufacturer.
wholesaler coming in and wanting to, have one of these promotions.
And, and that's on my list of things to talk about is out-of-state manufacturer reps. I wanna talk about that as well, and that sort of falls under that. When you have out-of-state manufacturer representative that is not an importer necessarily, but they represent a large brand name that they want to market in Colorado, our rules and laws don't address them anywhere. Unless they're an importer, and that's still pretty limited. So I bring that up, but I'm not sure if I wanna open this up to that right at this point for display enhancers. That's a new concept. What does the group think? Gene?
I wanna talk about 4 for a second, and then I wanna talk about number 8.
Okay, well, can we go back to the question in hand as far as out-of-state manufacturer sales reps? Cause if we make the supplier, would include them, include importers, would include a bunch of things, versus, I keep it a wholesaler. Any objection to keeping it wholesaler?
So, let me just understand it. If we're keeping it as a wholesaler, that means a supplier who may have an importer's license could come in,
Could not.
Could not.
could not.
If we define it as wholesaler,
Well, most of those are conducted through the wholesaler anyway.
Anyway,
yeah.
So I think
Right.
you're probably right, it doesn't make much difference.
cause there's not, in the definitions, I don't think there is one wholesaler, just manufacturer, supplier, and retailer. Okay.
So,
Okay, so we'll keep it as wholesaler. Gene, thanks. Go ahead.
well, before you get
No,
to.
go ahead.
If we- I have a question, the first sentence.
First sentence.
No other utilitarian value.
There, hold on.
Is there a definition of that? So if somebody provides a light that says a brand name on it, is that a standard interior display with no other utilitarian value, or is because there's a light on it and it lights up part of the room, is that utilitarian value?
It depends. Is the function of that a sign or display, or is it a light?
Well, that's,
Like here, for example, pool table
That's
lights, pool
not a
table
whole
lights
lot.
would not be allowed.
what's that?
Pool table lights, for example, and use that example, would not be allowed. Those are not a sign or display, they're lights. Okay?
Well, it's also a sign and display.
No, it's not a sign or display, it's a light. I mean.
It is a sign and display because it has it.
Because there's
A
another
logo.
utilitarian value, which is,
Okay.
it's a light.
Okay.
A refrigerated cooler. It's a cooler, it's a sign display, but it has another utilitarian value, which is
Yeah.
a cooler. So I don't think we need, my desire is not to further define utilitarian value. I think if it has another utility besides a sign and display,
Well,
It's
some
not-
lights,
it's not-
some lights have logos, and they're other than pool table lights.
Or a sign that relies on a light to illuminate.
The neon light.
yeah, well, then that is a sign. The light is used to become a sign. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. I just don't know that it's clear. But I'm not sure we can get to clear.
All right.
We've had this conversation
Yeah.
for years.
And 8 years
Still,
ago,
I
10 years
think-
ago, 12 years ago.
I've only been here.
We'll have it next year too.
Where pool table lights used to be specifically permitted under subsection C, they were stricken out in a previous regulatory hearing, so that's where it used to be permitted.
Right.
So, and since it's not included in the period, what I think what Patrick's saying is that what the division's position interpretation is gonna be is that the displays that are referred to in that subparagraph C are the ones that are generally permitted. Those are display type items.
Okay.
I would like the division at some point, not to muddy the waters there, but one of the things that has come to my attention regularly are these signs that have a mirrored component to them. But 90% of the sign is not mirrored, but there is mirrored, maybe a frame or
I think it's-
something. Are those allowed?
I think they are, they talk about in supplier signs, including mirrored glass, they don't talk about size and that, so I think it would, I think it would be.
I just wanna make it clear to my members that those aren't mirrors,
Right.
those are signs. Okay, cool.
So,
And I
question number-
apologize, I
no.
wanted to talk about 3, not 4.
Okay, 3. Okay?
Why are we, no purchases are required, why don't we say no purchase is required? Because I wouldn't want somebody to misread this, say, well, they can purchase one thing, I can have them purchase one thing, but they don't have to purchase 2. So why don't we go with a single purchase is not required?
Oh, you're
I
saying?
think it's clear if you, under your
No
suggestion.
purchase is required.
No purchase is required.
Okay.
Okay, you wanna talk about 4, okay.
They do too.
Okay.
Alright, they wanna talk about 4.
All right, time number 4.
Talking about the time limits, I guess, the longer than 30 days, I think that probably makes sense. But it talks about no similar item can be displayed or given away, at a retail license establishment more than once in a 6-month time period. That would seem to indicate that a wholesaler can only do 2 such giveaways within the, maybe 6,000 retail license establishments. So I think you probably need to, I would probably suggest, if that's not what your intent is, I'd just say at the same retail establishment more than once.
Yeah.
More than once during a 6-month period.
So take out A and put in the same?
Yeah.
At the same retail establishment.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That makes sense.
I have something on 4 and 8.
Hold on,
So-
hold on,
Yeah,
still
go ahead.
stay with your, the contest and drawing, so it's a single contest.
Yeah.
Not plural, the contest and drawing period cannot last longer And no similar item can be displayed and given away at the same, okay, at the same retail establishment, okay, that's good.
So I have something that concerns off these timeframes, the 30 days, the 6-month period, and the 4 per year. So if you multiply things out, you're talking about 120 days worth of potential having promotion, right? So you got 4 times, 30 days each, so that's 120 days.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if we can't agree to maybe stay with the 120 days, but divide it up in a different manner. In other words, you have 120 days that you can do this in a year. You can do it more than 4 times a year if you wish. You do 12, you can do once a month. Okay, you can do once a month for 12
days.
times, yeah, you know, whatever.
Once a day for 120 days.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm just trying to provide more flexibility, I guess. Because people, I don't think they wanna do, first of all, I think limiting to 4 years is not enough.
Well, it's,
But I also think they don't wanna do them for 30 days either. So can we come to some other agreement that you can do up to, 12 and none of them may last longer than X?
Before we get to all of that,
Yeah.
I just need to ask the question that came up in the working group.
I did and we're okay.
Ask the Attorney General approval.
I did and we're okay.
Okay.
I think if
Because I
all.
think
if-
several of us are sitting here wondering if that
Yeah, no,
was
I
the
mean,
case.
and this is my thought on it is under noble, we can define what we believe is reasonable. And
David, I can define a lot of stuff under noble.
So-
And wine and
And
spirits
wine and
wholesalers.
spirits, yeah, absolutely.
So that I think it's reasonable, 4 times a year.
Okay.
It does
I
not.
just wanted to make sure we had addressed the
Yeah.
question that had come
Okay.
up in the work.
Right,
Well,
because
but-
then I think that, if Patrick doesn't mind if I speak here, if you get to doing too many of them, then you do, I think, have more issues.
Yeah.
But it is for the benefit of the consumer. These giveaways are to benefit primarily the consumer, not the retailer, and I think that changes the calculus a little bit.
Let me give you
And,
my
and
concern.
no one's arguing that. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Sonia.
I was just gonna say, in the committee meeting, we couldn't get a real or a satisfactory response as far as why this really needed to be changed, other than there were a few complaints about it. And I feel like it's being really restrictive for something that we're still not clear on why it's really necessary.
Well, I'm concerned there's an enforcement issue, number one, as far as, and does occur. I'm not gonna try to reiterate, and point fingers at where it's happening. I believe it's a problem. That's my feeling as the director here. It's a problem. Big enough to where I wanna make a concern. That's the first thing. Number two, the enforceability of it is difficult under the letter that was produced by the former director. And number three, unrelated to those things altogether, if done under the letter, you can now have a permanent display in your retail location. And that, to me, would run afoul of 3. So those are the 3 reasons why I wanna give something to, allow wholesalers to do this so that the public, and all 3 do benefit, the wholesale, retailer, and the public, but yet still it mitigates the concerns I have of the 3 things I said. And at least for me it does, and that allows to have displays that are giveaways. So I guess that's my rationale.
Can you
That helps
help me
at all?
understand your third point, Patrick? Cause I haven't understood that from the beginning.
What's that?
The one that you could essentially have a permanent display.
Because, in essence, once your 30 days is up, you put a brand new item in there. May not be, it's not the same item, but it's another item, okay?
But so in my opinion, that wouldn't be a permanent display, that would be a different display.
But,
for 30 days.
but you permanently have a display.
And
That is more than
what's wrong with
a
that?
sign or display.
But it's not gonna be from the same supplier. It's not gonna be
Why
from the
couldn't it
same-
be?
Because the suppliers are limited to doing it twice a year for 30 days each.
No,
In the letter.
didn't say that.
It doesn't say that in the letter?
No. Hmm.
Patrick, can I run this scenario by you? I'm gonna pick on New Belgium. What's your winter special beer?
This year,
Yeah.
it's gonna be accumulation.
Okay, so you have a big display of accumulation in liquor store A.
I hope so.
And there's a very, very nice snowboard from New Belgium. And how long is your, so 30 days, and
Winter seasonal is usually 90 days.
90-day seasonal. So, how frequently, and hopefully you have to change that display and bring in fresh product on a regular basis. So, 30 days for a display, the product may be gone in 30 days, in 20 days, it may be gone in 15 days, it may be gone in a week, depending on the product that is displayed, along with the item to be given away to the consumer. So I'm not sure, I think I'm going where Pete's going, maybe you could do more, just a shorter time period, cause as a consumer, man, I'm 30 days, I have to wait 30 days to see if I've won something?
That's pretty,
That's a long time.
And we can run 100 different scenarios here, and I understand. But this is for the, really the end results for the public. And I don't mean, even though it can be used as a display, and will be used as a display, the thing is here is for a wholesaler to give away their product, alright? And, I mean, we can come up with 100 different scenarios, and I guess it's, this group here to decide what's probably maybe reasonable of what that time period is. Previously it was 30 days, and as far as I know, no one squawked about that. So that's why I kept it as 30 days. If they wanna bring that up as a different, I'm open to it. I understand what you're saying, Pete. If you're given 120 days, can you make that cumulative and use it any way you want to?
Once a month for 10 days. That's 120 days.
I guess I would have to ask the wholesalers, because then they're, you know, they're.
But they don't have to.
Right,
No,
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 I'm
nobody
not.
has to do anything.
Well, I know you're saying that. Okay.
You're gonna have a heck of an enforcement problem.
Yeah, I mean, if we have it like every 5 days, every this day,
Yeah.
boy, that's gonna be a hard time for us to try to, you know, 30 days gives enough exposure to where if there's an issue, we might get notified. You know,
Let me give you my concern from just a trade practice perspective. I'm gonna
Yeah.
put on my glasses, not necessarily as a retailer, but just saying, you know, from a trade practice perspective, if you're gonna limit a single retailer to no more than a total of 4 of these per year, you're gonna end up with a potential bidding contest from some of the bigger suppliers saying, okay, fine, I can, you know, they're gonna give you a snowboard, you know what, I'm gonna give you a snowmobile, you know, as a contest item.
Well, I'll give you a Camaro.
That type of thing, so I think by putting that limitation in place, I think you do, kind of increase the potential for upbidding on what that display type item might be during the course of the year. I think you need to kind of consider that or think about that as a potential. If you're gonna limit it, I would say that you probably maybe ought to be thinking about it, maybe more in terms of a dollar value of one, or not per month, a capped dollar value if you're gonna be doing it on an annual basis. But I realize what you're trying to get to. The reality of it is that generally speaking, for on-premise retailers, I mean, none of my members are even aware of even being offered anything like this, so it really doesn't affect them per se, but I can see where a little bit of this is, gonna end up to a little bit of a bidding contest in some places.
I mean, on that point, I was gonna ask you if number 8 applies only to one retailer cannot have more than 4 of these a year, or cannot have more than 4 of these from one supplier.
yeah, it was what brought to my attention earlier, that was one change I was gonna make is 4 per retailer per year from any wholesaler.
Cause that does, I mean, that's gonna shut out the small guys who
Yep.
wanna do something
Yep.
In a New York second.
small, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanna give you a bouquet of flowers versus a snowboard or a
Right.
snowmobile, it's like.
And that doesn't happen now?
Uh,
And that doesn't happen now?
You want me to answer that question?
It's rhetorical, I mean, I understand, Dave, it could cause more of an issue, but I'm trying to, you know, trying to compromise, it doesn't reach 308, cause if we don't have limitations, I'm gonna say no to it, cause it's gonna be I think it's gonna be something that would violate 308, so.
Well, on the other hand, what you're saying is, I'm gonna say no to it because we don't have the personnel to enforce it.
I didn't say that.
Well, that's kinda what
That
you're
was-
saying.
That was one of the, remember I gave 3
I
reasons why?
understand, but that's one of them.
Yeah.
And
So don't,
I
but
get
just,
that.
but just
I
don't say
get-
that one by itself.
I get-
For all the reasons established.
Yeah.
If we didn't make it unlimited,
Yep.
then it does go against 308. Cause 308 says you may not have displays
Okay.
that have other utilitarian values.
Well, we're
Well,
not strictly speaking, talking about displays here, we're talking about contests,
Yep.
giveaways.
Right.
What if you have
and,
an item
And sweepstakes, which are
that's
not necessarily
connected to a
displays.
display?
You
But
ever
it has-
seen one that's
Then you
not
can't have
connected
the
to a
item.
display?
No, but I'm just saying, I get a little nervous when we call these display enhancers, because
They're
they're
not.
not display enhancers in the traditional sense, where
Right,
they're
I-
just enhancing display.
Right.
I mean, somebody's giving away something
Right.
to a consumer.
yeah, yeah,
It's
verbiage, you're right.
not just putting a bike in a store.
Can't be right.
The bike's going away to someone,
Giveaways.
or a contest, or sweepstakes.
But see, giveaways then, and most times become display enhancers. They don't have to be, most of the time they do, that's what they usually do it for.
I would
Oh, yeah.
suspect that we're probably gonna have some concerns with this,
Alright,
just so you know.
so that's,
I mean, yeah.
heads up.
The limitation?
So,
Well,
So-
if it's any product at all,
Mhm.
period. So,
that has a utilitarian value other than a sign or display. Because 308's clear that, a supplier cannot give, loan, provide to a retailer anything of value,
No.
except for signs and displays.
I hear you, but if you're talking about any product from any manufacturer, I think that could end up being a problem, just so you know.
Alright? Is that because it's limited or because,
Well, my gut is then, I mean, I don't know who was talking about some of the new products, but you're really picking winners and losers quickly on this on the front end. The gut, I mean, you guys are picking winners and losers because you're limiting other products. And I could see with different, from one manufacturer or one product line or something like that, but you're putting, we all compete against each other. So if, if they do you guys and then they do Bob's products, whichever one he wants to throw in there. And then they, I mean, you really are putting, I think you're taking away the flexibility from some of the retailers and you're really impacting people with new products coming on the line and things like that. And I don't think that's your intention, but I think there's a lot of unintended consequences. And I'll let you know after I hear back from the people about it.
I understand what you're saying. If they have 4, then the 4 will, Dave said, then that would cause some other trade practice issues.
Well, I don't think it's it's trade practice issues,
Right.
but it's also, market issues.
Right, exactly.
Right.
I mean,
That's right.
It's a huge effect.
ABI and Miller Coors on the beer side are gonna get, no offense, Bob, just economics and reality. Are gonna be able to provide bigger things than Joe's brand new brewery and Steve's brand new brewery, right? And so they're gonna get all the 4, 3 of the 4,
Uh-huh.
6 of the 4, whatever. And then the smaller folks aren't.
Yeah, or some of our.
This is,
our small distilleries.
understand people, this doesn't prohibit you from doing a sign with it. You can do a sign today all you want to, we're talking about the physical item. You still can, that doesn't mean you can't do other promotions, you can do 10 promotions every single day, but you can only have the actual physical object in there 4 times a year. So I'm not limiting that to be given away, you can still do giveaway all day long with 100 items, but the actual display can't be there.
But like someone else said, a snowmobile sitting in the store versus a cardboard cutout
Hey.
bicycle,
This is,
one's better than the other.
the alternative here is to say none. That's the alternative. I'm talking about if it has to be limitations, or it's gonna have to be none,
Well,
from my viewpoint, because
Well, but
it runs afoul of 308.
I would
Period.
hope we could find limitations that are.
And I'm totally open to it.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
This was my best attempt,
Yeah.
and I know that it may have unintended consequences, that's why we're here to talk about it, because I'm not, I'm limited in everything I think of, so these are good things to think about, and I appreciate everybody coming to the table, that's what it's for. So,
What about a dollar cap?
Yeah.
but then you can have several, you have a display all the time, and that, you can't
No,
have
unless you
No,
do an
and
annual-
I
annual
Why if we
think-
just added the dollar cap to
In
this?
addition to.
Right.
4 times a year with a dollar cap?
Yeah. Then it
Okay.
equals, it levels the playing field.
Mhm.
Is 308 up for discussion?
As far as,
Definition of unlawful financial assistance?
well, but the verbiage isn't up for discussion, but,
I know, it's not on this.
well, 308's a
No
law.
changes to
It's a-
308.
It's a law, so we can't,
It's
well,
statute.
this is for rule changes.
Oh, this is.
Yeah, okay.
This is for rule changes.
You wanna change that one, you're in the wrong
I'm like,
place.
keep looking at this,
There's not a
like, there is
rule,
no
there's not a
rule.
rule per se.
Yeah.
So Patrick, are you looking
Yeah.
for us, are you
So-
looking
so-
for us today at this meeting to come up with some suggestions?
I mean, what
You want
I
by the
went,
26th.
given time we have today and the little things we have to go through, I would suggest, at this point on this one, if we have time at the end, we can do open suggestions. If not, get them to me before, Monday, week from Monday.
Should we just get everybody together and talk, hammer it out, see what the industry
Not
feels
another
comfortable
meeting.
with?
I will tell you that we spent 2 years on these items, and we still don't have consensus.
Well, I have one more meeting, I've been hard than John.
But if you just each give him your suggestions, I think you're gonna,
Why don't you each give me your suggestions early enough to where if I think we need to do a meeting, we will.
then let us know.
Okay.
You know,
And it might be better to have the meeting after the next meeting in 2 weeks, I mean, as we gel this, so
Well-
that we make sure we have adequate time to get it turned
Well,
around.
but
the
you've got till
one
the
point problem,
31st.
well,
Gotta publish.
here's the issue, okay? We could, and I'll refer to Ron and Linda on this. If we get a rule on the Secretary of State by October 30th, our deadline, right? And there's a draft rule there, we still have time to modify that rule before the rulemaking hearing. There's a certain amount of time before the hearing that we can make changes to the rule. But if we don't have any rule whatsoever, we cannot add a new rule
Right.
after the 30th.
Correct.
So we have to get something in paper on the rule by October 30th or 31st, one of the two. So
30th.
there is leeway there if we wanna still make modifications after, we still have to have something at least presented as a
Right.
rule.
Just one point though, I mean, I thought part of what we were attempting to do is to try to make sure that we don't have a lot of division and angst.
I'm with you.
And once something is on the rule, there's a presumption that that's what's moving forward, like it or not, that's how life works. And I think that then we're setting ourselves up for potential angst, which is okay, cause I'm great at that, I'm Irish. But anyway, just something to think about, I mean, if.
Right,
And
well,
we, like I said, we may be fine, but I think that this may have some.
no. But putting a cap in addition to the 4 times a year, that way I think we help at least mitigate some of the competitive issues. Snowmobile versus, bouquet of flowers.
Versus
I'm not.
If you still have a limit of 4 times a year regardless.
Doesn't matter what.
You know, if you said a cap is $5,000, 4 times a year is still going to preclude a $50 item from getting in there if a small producer wants to do something on a small scale.
Depending
Instead of
on what
wine
your
glasses.
market is, right? So each market's gonna be different.
Each market's gonna be
depending on the
different, each
store, depending on
retailer's
the
gonna be
product,
different, but
depending on.
let's face it,
so-
we're all going after the high-profile retailers. So, the big guys are gonna be getting the snowmobiles or the skis or the Lincoln Continental.
Wow, I just wanna go to a liquor store now and fill out tear offs.
You make a living on that.
I'm not all that enamored or like the idea of putting cars in liquor stores.
I'm just, okay, never mind.
That has some inside joke
Just
to it too,
feel
so.
comfortable that the majority of liquor stores, you couldn't get one in there.
That's true.
I saw one of those little smart cars
Yeah, cool.
in a liquor store.
Very creative.
Bob, did you have a
Yeah,
suggestion?
I apologize if my tardiness, you might have already addressed this, but you use supplier and wholesaler interchangeably here, is there?
Well, we made him wholesaler.
We
Wholesale.
changed.
Okay, so
We
it's all
made-
wholesaler?
yeah, wholesaler.
Okay, thank you, that's why I knew
But there is a definition of supplier,
Yes,
and that is more than wholesaler.
yes.
Yeah, so, but what you're saying is, you changed on this particular item,
Number 5 to wholesaler.
Oh, 5?
So we're just talking about
Don't say
wholesalers.
7?
Yeah, seven's
But anywhere if it's
Wherever it
supplier-
says.
Wherever it says
supplier.
Yeah,
supplier.
wherever it says supplier.
In this
wholesale.
320, everything that says supplier is gonna be wholesale.
Yeah.
Is that
So,
correct?
So-
Can I ask a question? If you're gonna modify the definition, is it in D, are you modifying everywhere else under 320 where it says wholesaler, supplier, now you're gonna say wholesaler?
No. For this specific,
Just for D?
Yeah.
just for D,
Okay.
right,
Thank you.
or no, E.
E?
It's D. It's D.
Dog.
I'm looking at the wrong one, it's double-sided thing,
D
sorry.
like diamond.
I should've got that single-sided one. Yes, D, sorry, yes, D.
Okay.
Well, I need to take a look at this here, hold on. Well, under D, D says a supplier's standard interior display that may provide free of charge to licensed retailer. That should be stay a supplier.
Okay.
That should stay?
Where?
That should stay under D, a supplier.
Oh, here.
Okay? And then when you get under the caps where it says, however, the following is allowed in order to provide wholesalers the ability to display giveaway items in retail liquor establishments. So, those
So all those numbers under there where it says supplier needs to be changed to wholesaler.
under, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 through
Yeah.
8.
In all the caps.
So, 5, okay.
It's under two.
5, 7.
Well, and
Will all be
two, number
changed to
2,
wholesaler.
number 2.
Yes.
All that's wholesaler, okay.
So wait, it has to say that the item is property of the wholesaler?
There's a supplier can give to the wholesaler.
Right, right.
Does that mean this is the wholesaler has to buy it for the supplier?
No, because it's going for the purpose of a contest giveaway or sweepstakes. If it was going as a display,
The
yeah.
Shakespeare play. About the-
Breathe.
call it not to do it, not nothing.
Mm.
Because you give it to the display.
All right, please give me your requests and comments and, soon. And then if we need to pull a meeting, we will. If not, we'll do our best shot.
And you would like to have those comments, you said, as soon as possible with the deadline at,
Drop dead of the 26th.
And you want those through a certain form on the website, is that right?
Yeah, 2477, DR 2477. Okay. I knew that was gonna be a fun one.
Just
Joan?
a point of clarification for those of us who are late, there were no modifications made to everything before 47-360.
There was one, we took out in H, under 47-100H.
Yeah, we took the word liquid.
We crossed out liquid.
In the last line.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
I feel like we made one other, did we make one other change that Gene recommended from?
Yeah, we did.
320.
Yeah.
Number 3, change
Yeah.
R to is.
Where was it?
So,
D3.
323.
No purchase is required.
No purchase.
Well, that's right, I gotta circle that so I don't forget it.
And then later on,
No,
and then later on.
I'm taking good notes, gotta
number
make, just,
4,
in the circle, I went to
change it to
small.
say, no similar item can be displayed and given away at the same retail establishment.
Purchase.
More than
Yeah,
that, yeah.
at the same, I got that. Okay, thank you.
That was Dave's.
But pre-16, no other changes were made, but just. All right. 47-322, unfair trade practices and competition. This one is brought to this rulemaking group, from the division. And I'll go over reason why. Number 1, under supplier, we added a definition to include distillery pub because of the distillery pub bill that was passed. And under retailer, you really can't tell because it's a cap. Retailer means those persons licensed pursuant to sections 1247.401 H through T. I added and V, cause V is a distillery pub. Okay. But you really can't tell it's in a cap because it's really, it's called small caps, is what you use to signify that. And then their wholesaler, we added distillery pub. So distillery pub, just like a brew pub, meets all three definitions for 47.322. Okay. Then, sale of alcohol beverages under A5C, we added distillery pub there towards the bottom left. Hard to pick out, but that's the only change was distillery pub. So this is where a distillery pub, for nonprofit organizations can take back items for unused from a charity. Question about that? All right, then under F3F, here's another stab at my desire to put into rule what I did by bulletin earlier this year. What happened was we were given a situation where the rule allows for malt liquor or fermented malt beverage to be switched out when a freshness date passes. Or actually, it just says when it's out of freshness. It didn't actually define what that meant. It just said they can replace it. So the question that came to division was, well, what happens when you have a malt liquor or fermented malt beverage that's out of freshness date, but it's out of season, which means it's no longer available at the wholesaler to replace it with. What can they do? So by letter or by bulletin, we made the decision to say if the item is out of freshness date or out of code, which is the industry words, it's out of code and out of season and not available by the wholesaler anymore, you can switch it out for the same brand family that's of equal or lesser value. Okay, that's number one that this does. Number two, it defines what out of freshness is if it's within 30 days of that freshness date. So if it's within 30 days, this is prior to, not after, but before 30 days of that freshness date, this allows the wholesaler to take it out of the retailer, swap it with a fresher product, and then sell it, not swap it out, but sell it to another retailer that might be able to sell it in time, a high volume retailer. They can only do that once per item, per product removed. You can't do it more than once. So that's the two things that this rule allows.
There's a typo in, sorry.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Where is it?
Typo.
On number one, the second line, says no, I think that's a typo. I don't know exactly what.
Not to be more than?
It should say not be more
Not
than,
be
or
more
be,
than-
or be
Or
more
be
than
no
no,
more than.
or be no more than.
Yeah, the no in the B or backwards. Or-
Be no more than 30 days. Okay.
No be more.
No be.
I have a couple of questions for you.
I think the music was going too loud when I was writing this thing. I did it on the holiday. It's like,
I have a couple of questions.
yes.
First of all, I thought that your letter also addressed not just seasonal, but any product that was close state that wasn't selling and could be picked up and sold to another retailer. As I recall it, I think that included, because we were talking about seasonal products and we were talking about any close state products.
Well, I believe, John,
But this only talks about seasonal.
no, it doesn't. If you look, I wrote it in a way I think it doesn't, so I might be wrong. So, if you look under number one, it says for paragraph V, or 5, that discusses freshness standards altogether. Okay?
Where are you looking?
Paragraph one.
Okay.
Paragraph 1. So if you look at 22, how it fits into the language.
But five, Patrick, says to ensure freshness standards for malt liquor fermented malt beverages for seasonal products.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
then
it is, yeah.
2 and 3 also mention seasonal.
only talk about
Yeah.
seasonal,
You know, we were addressing the seasonal products at that time, John, so let's open it up to, you know,
Actually, we were addressing the seasonal product where they were no longer gonna be produced.
right?
And then we were addressing the close date products for the 30 days. Cause the seasonal product, you said, if they're no longer gonna be produced and they're getting closer, going out of date, you can switch it out for another product.
Right.
And I think if you look at, and I'll just tie all these together and then we'll figure it out. Cause if you look at 3, if it says, if the seasonal product is still available, I think you wanna say, and is not within the 30 days of freshness. Cause they may have stuff sitting there, but it's gonna be close date also.
I just locked it out.
You do to the phones what I do.
So not, so if B, we went to ensure freshness standards for all malt liquor. All right, hold on for a second.
Whatever, first seasonal too.
I did,
The bulletin, pull it up here too.
I think you just take out the reference to seasonal. Cause number 2 deals with the seasonal.
Yeah, no,
Well, the rest of it would be close date, right?
yeah.
And doesn't F3, small F3 in the rules already deal with that, John? Also, puts the
out of it, not close to it. It doesn't allow them to turn around and sell it.
You know, John, what I think I wanna do here is, word in a way, maybe under F, where it says to ensure, it says manufacturers' quality standards to ensure freshness standards for malt liquor and fermented malt beverage wholesalers may withdraw product from the retail inventory and replace it with new product without additional charge under the following conditions. And just make one of those conditions a separate condition and
I
not
agree.
tie it to seasonal.
I agree. That's what I think we talked about.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we have a close date
Right,
that's
so-
tied to any product, and then you have the seasonal products, and you had the seasonal 2 ways. You had, if they're no longer gonna be produced again, they can both be,
All right, so I'll change the wording of that and make it clear that the 30-day freshness thing applies to all of the fermented malt beverages and malt liquor, and that the seasonal is the second issue. I'll do that.
okay.
And then Patrick, on number 2, where it says the sale of the product to another retailer can only be done once per product.
Say again, this is where?
Number 2, so F3F.
The last sentence.
5 to the last sentence. I'm assuming that only applies to each transaction. So as a wholesaler, I can take beer from liquor store A and resell to liquor store B. I can't take that and then go to C.
Correct.
Could
Is that-
that be read though to say the sale of the product to another retailer can only be done once? But I can only take it from one liquor store and give it to a second liquor store and can't go do that at
Or how about
liquor
the,
store.
how about the resale under this? How about the word the resale?
Just the issue that I had with that sentence was, I'm gonna pick a beer, the ABC beer, that's not an AB beer, ABC, Anheuser-Busch Coors beer. And it's at a retailer, and it's close date, so I pick it up and I turn around and sell it to retailer 2. Now, 6 months from now, I have that same issue, I can go back to that retailer, pick it up and sell it to retailer number 3 now.
But it's out of code though already.
No, you have it, again, you have that same type of beer, but now it's close dated.
It's a
Well,
different batch.
It's
It's
not
a
a.
different batch.
Yeah, it's not type of product, it's actual product.
No, yeah, but my concern is, I can pick it up on January 1st and sell it to retailer A. Now you have that same type of product on July 2nd, I can pick it up and sell it to retailer A again, or can I sell it to retailer B?
Either one.
But if you read this, I can't, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree. The sale of the product to another retailer can only be done once per product.
Yeah.
You can't do the third thing.
What we're saying, instead, what we're saying is I can't sell it to A, and then on January 10th, pick it up from A and sell it to B.
Right.
That's what you're trying to say.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think that is confusing.
Let me, maybe I'm missing something. This only applies to seasonal products, right?
No.
No.
Okay.
What we're trying to do is, because
Close to out.
nowhere in the
Close to
rule,
out of date.
nowhere in the rule, if you look at it, it says, when a manufacturer is to ensure freshness standards for malt liquor and for malt beverages, wholesalers may withdraw product from the retailer's inventory and replace it with new product without additional charge under the following conditions, okay?
Right.
To ensure freshness standards is not defined.
No, I
What does that
understand
mean? Does that mean it has to be after the date?
No, I understand where you're, I'm just saying, in this paragraph 5 that we're putting in place, it talks about, that paragraph 5 seems to apply to only seasonal products.
Yeah, we had talked about that.
He just said he's gonna split that and have it apply seasonal for seasonal products and then also for
Close to.
all
Yeah.
other
Okay, I
close to-
misunderstood.
Yeah, I'm gonna break out number 1 and make it its own, I'll probably make it that actually, I'll break it out to where it's
Clear for both.
easily understandable that that applies to all of the beverage.
I mean, can we maybe change the last sentence of 2 to something like, the sale of the particular or individual product to, I don't know how to
Well,
reword that. to
Cause
get
here it says,
right.
if you look at the second to last sentence, the wholesaler may sell the product that was picked up to another retailer who is able,
What about the replaced product?
what's that?
What about calling it the replaced product?
Hold on for a second. Sell to the product before the out of freshness date. The sale of the product to another retailer can only be done once per product. I mean, I'm all for rewording this, but it's like a running whole paragraph to talk about the product is a single product, not a type of product, not, you know what I'm saying? The resale product, I mean, I'm trying to make it so language intensive, they keep on saying the same word over and over again.
I think that the only concern is that we get a less reasonable person sitting in your chair.
Yeah.
Sometime down the road, and then pick up on this and say, you know, some of John's.
I understand.
Well, you did this once.
Can't do it
You
anymore.
can't do it anymore. for the
How
year.
about the,
And I think you can,
The
if you,
replaced
the
product.
concept, I think you
Yeah.
can wordsmith it.
yeah, I'll
Or if
wordsmith
you
it.
need us to send you
I'll bring it to
the
my wordsmith.
Sale
form,
of the
whatever.
replaced product.
We can wordsmith it.
Yeah, the replaced product, yeah. We do that, the replaced product.
But the concept, I think, is.
Yeah, the concept is.
The sale of the replaced product. How about that? The last sentence, the sale of the replaced product to another retailer can only be done once per product?
Can only be done
Or once.
once.
Can only be done once, you
You know,
know.
it's- yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's, from a retailer's perspective, I don't know how many times you've resold it. Now you're gonna drop off maybe 5-day dated products that are gonna expire in 5 days, from someone else. And now I'm stuck with the product, say, hey, listen, you know, I would have loved to pick it up on freshness standards, but I've already done it once, and now you're hosed. I mean, that's the type of thing I'm worried about from the retailer's perspective.
Dave, I don't think you are, because under the rest of the reg, I can pick up any out-of-date freshness. What we're talking about here is something that is close date. Once it goes out of date, I think I can pick it up from you and give you credit for it.
Yeah,
As
so-
long- As long as that's.
Yeah, cause
understood,
this
yeah.
is what, this prohibits the wholesaler from selling it again,
Right.
not from them picking it up.
Okay, so they can still pick up out-of-date
Absolutely.
product.
Right, and give
Absolutely
you
up to
credit.
date. Okay, all right,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
that's fine then.
So the sale of the replaced product to another retailer can only be done once.
Yep.
Good.
And then if you're talking about the seasonal again, Patrick, where it says if the seasonal product is still available, whether or not it's in season, at the wholesaler must be replaced with the same product. I would say, and not within 30 days of freshness. I don't wanna pick something up, replace it with the same thing that's gonna go out of date in 30 days. It's sitting in my warehouse and now I'm replacing it with it.
Why would they do that?
They'd have to, under this.
I understand what you're saying.
Even if it's on a code.
Yeah, or close, no.
Okay, all right.
Close to.
Close to.
Yeah.
If the seasonal product is still available and within the freshness date, which we'll have defined,
Right.
how about that? Okay. It is now 2:40, we wanna take a break at 2:30, so let's just do and we will keep it quick, just take a quick break and reconvene here in 5, no later than 10 minutes.